Hello again, everyone. This is Dan Sandler on part 7 of our 10-part tutorial of how to set up Hadoop in the Amazon cloud and how to stream Twitter and social media to our environment. So at this point, we have everything up and running in the cloud from uh, the instance itself, the EC2 instance. We have our Twitter app, we have Flume all set up, we have Hadoop, the core installation, and we also have Hive set up and configured. That's where we left off. So now we're at this quadrant of our rectangle, which is Oozie. Oozie is a workflow coordinator and workflow job. Runs in the background and basically can do tasks as certain events happen. And in this case, its task is to add a new partition to our Hive table when an hour rolls forward. So I'm going to show you how it's currently configured as is from the Cloudera tutorial. And we're just going to take what the Cloudera tutorial has for Oozie. I'll show you how it's configured, and we're going to let it run as is. The good news is, by the end of this exercise, we're actually going to have tweets streaming to our environment. Okay. So let's SSH in to our machine. Going to so there's going to be some files that we downloaded from one of the earlier sessions. Okay. First things first, we're going to copy the jar files, the MySQL jar files, into live ext. Okay. That basically because we need the MySQL JDBC drivers. So I can see I'm missing a jar file. 1 second. I take that back, we should be good. We should be good. So I'm going to copy that, all those jar files to user lib Oozie live extend. Okay. I'm going to configure to use Oozie to use MySQL. Okay. So we can use our Cloudera manager to do that. So I'll go to the Cloudera manager. I'll go to Oozie. We'll configure the database. Otherwise, it uses Derby. So we shall say MySQL. Okay. Host. The user is. 1 second. Oops. I need to do this. Okay, so we will MySQL user grant all privileges on Oozie star to Oozie at localhost identified by Oozie. Okay. All right. So now we can configure Oozie here. MySQL, Oozie, Oozie. Save changes. I'm going to restart the service right here. So as this restarts, we can start getting ahead with the setup. So basically we need to cd home, going to make a directory called Oozie lib. We're going to make a directory underneath that called Oozie-workflows. And one last thing, we'll need a lib directory. Okay, so we're going to copy from our cdh, sorry, copy MySQL target. Alright. Copy user web dupe MySQL snapshot jar to home Oozie workflows lib. Okay, it needs that same serial deserializer jar. So it looks like it successfully restarted. Good. So I'll go back here, go to the overall status of our services. Everything started, everything looks good. Alrighty. So Oozie is now pointed to MySQL. Very good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to copy those same MySQL jar files into the home directory we just created, into lib. Okay, there we go. Going to sudo copy etc hive site, sorry, etc hive config hive site XML to home Oozie lib Oozie workflows lib. Sorry, just Oozie workflows. Now we're going to change the owner of site hive site. Sudo change And we're going to install shared lib, which is underneath Oozie. Okay. So we just have to run these commands as is. So this is going to make an Oozie folder underneath user on the Hadoop file system. So we'll change the owner here. We're going to also enable the Oozie Uber jars in case there's any jars that need to be picked up. So do that etc Oozie big Oozie site. So that sets up the share lib. So now we're going to put the following files into Oozie workflows. Okay. So you can see them. It's add partition, so this is a Hive query language file that actually executes a DDL to add a date hour partition to our external table. We have a coordinating app. This is basically an XML file that tells the workflow how to execute. An action file. This is actually passing parameters to this script, and job properties, which actually configures the coordinating app workflow. We're all going to see that pretty closely soon. So I'm going to cd to our home Oozie lib Oozie workflows folder. I'll grab this here. Sometimes it really doesn't like that. It really doesn't make any sense to me. Alright, so we've got add queue. Can we get the coordinating XML file? Good. The Hive action file and the job properties. Okay. So before I edit those files, I'm going to follow through these commands. I'm going to make the directory hdfs on Oozie workflows. Oh God. Why does it do that? Okay, let's try this again. Okay, let's just work. Let's just do it by hand. Sudo -u hdfs do fs make dir Oozie workflows /user/hdfs. Alright, so I'm actually going to go into going into our Word app XML. Wanted to first do one thing. This has to change. We know that this has to correspond. This is how we configure the Flume agent, or the flume.config file, I should say. We essentially need the Hadoop host that's in the current config file to correspond to this host name that's in our Cloudera manager. Okay? So that has to correspond. So all these things I can give a brief description. Initial data set, job end, job start. Okay, these are actually in our job properties file. Okay, so this tells us a few things, but let me just substitute one with our host. Okay, name node, job tracker. It's going to look for the folder that we just created. So this job start is really when we plan on kicking this off. So I plan on kicking it off at this is UTC, so I'm 5 hours behind that. So we're looking at actually 21st at 300 hours. The initial offset, this is between time zones, so this was offset by 8, so that's West Coast time. I'm going to make this East Coast time, New York, Boston actually, and make this, so this corresponds to the current time. This would be the date hour corresponding to the YYYYMMDD hour folder underneath our Hadoop file system. Okay? So that actually has to be 02. This is when we actually are starting. So this is 20th, and this is 200 hours. That's when we're starting. So these are the edits that are necessary in the job properties, which is handed off to this coordinator job. Okay. And it actually gets passed to the Oozie workflow. The job properties are actually handed off when you start the Oozie workflow itself, which we'll do shortly. So here's one thing I want to bring to everyone's attention, because this sets up our next tutorial. There's a ready indicator. you can see here there are some comments as to what they've done as kind of a workaround. Okay, it says Flume doesn't have a good mechanism to basically say when it's done writing a file, which is true. Then what they're saying is, okay, wait till our process is, and then we'll add a new partition, which is kind of suboptimal because you want to have access to the data as it's written to the file system. You don't want to wait. So for now, we're going to deal with this limitation. Next tutorial, I'll show you how to get around that. Okay. And I think that's it. I'll just open up the add partition and the hive action. So this is what, this kind of looks basically like DDL, right? Alter table, tweets. That says it doesn't exist, so it's kind of graceful. Partition, it's going to add the partition where it's equal to the date hour from this file. Just hive add partition. So this is basically where you can see here it actually executes the script that we just looked at before. It says this is the package that we need to, because it's there are some types that are defined within this package that are actually contained within the definition of the table itself. So it needs reference to those type definitions. This is the workflow input. This is a date hour. So that's date hour that kind of starts, that we started in the job.properties. Actually, the date hour gets handed to the properties to the Oozie, to the coordinating app XML, and then it gets passed to the hive action file. Okay. But it all starts with that initial data set. That's the starting point. So we're going to go back here. So we've gotten these files. We've edited them. We're going to proceed with we already created that file. I think we already created that. Yep, we already created that. So now we're going to put this folder here, Oozie Workflows, to the Hadoop file system to a folder that's basically the same name. So it should be up a directory. This is going to fail. Yep. So try that again. Okay. Put that. Now we're going to change the owner. This we're not going to do. This is only if we're streaming Facebook data. If you ever want to stream Facebook data, please get in touch with me. I can walk you through how to do that, but basically it involves an HTTP source for Flume. Okay. So now we're going to start streaming data. Okay. So first thing we need to do is create a tweets folder. access. Make sure everyone has rights. Okay. So now I'm ready to start the Flume agent, at which point we're going to start streaming data. So I'm going to restart the agent. Oh, because it's not running, it's going to fail, so we actually have to start it. So to make sure it's started cleanly, we're going to go to var log Flume. So then we can go into the Flume log, see if everything looks good. Everything looks good. Oh, yeah, it's already starting to write. So if you have followed along with all the ups and downs, you should be seeing the same thing that we'll be seeing shortly. We're actually streaming Hadoop data to our environment. Just to show you, I'm going to sudo hdfs hadoop dash ls user tweets 201.302.20 and 22. Flume. Sorry. Got Flume. Alright, so we are streaming tweets to our environment. And here's why I'm doing another listing. See that temp file? That's what causes problems. That's why the Oozie workflow has to work around it. Or wait, that's the workaround right now. And I'll show you a solution to it in the next tutorial. But just to show you, let's just cat one of these files. Let's say cat Flume data dot 6.141704170. See if that looks. Oops, that's spelled wrong. See all that? Lots of tweets about big data. So I'm also going to say, let's look for my handle, data Dan. By the way, you can see why people want to capture this data. Look at, there's a lot of details about it. You can see usernames here. Sorry about that. I forgot the Oozie to basically get the JavaScript files that enable the Oozie console. So we'll do that right now. We'll cd to temp. We'll get this file. Okay, we will place it in unzip. Then we'll move to bar with music. Enter. There we go. Alright, so I should be able to access the Oozie console. Okay, good. There's nothing running right now, which brings me to the second point. That we need to start the Oozie workflow. So I have the alias on the other environment, so start Oozie workflow. So basically the command is sudo -u hdfs Oozie job Oozie http localhost. The config is our job properties file that we set up earlier. So it's home Oozie lib dash Oozie workflows job properties dash run. Saying it's not found. Held it by head // so dash. So what this does is it will actually so let me pause and troubleshoot this. Sorry about that. I made an error earlier. I put the Oozie workflows folder underneath the Oozie workflows folder. You know, that's not exactly what we have to do. So we'll move those files from here to /user hfs Oozie. Okay. That with the Oozie workflows. And okay. So we'll try to run this again. Okay, so it's created our job coordinator. We can go back to the Oozie console, refresh, we'll see it running. So we can double click and see what it's doing. This failed, so we'll have to troubleshoot this. Let me troubleshoot this for a sec. I forgot to mention, or I forgot to make this change. So see that time zone? That's a problem. That has to be, make sure we have it. This is, by the way, in Chord app. So let's just make sure I have it correct. It's New York. Okay. Let's what we're gonna do is kill the existing Oozie workflow. So alias commands are here. Get the workflow name. You want, yes, the coordinating job. It's here. So it will kill the corresponding workflow. So we are going to say sudo hdfs Oozie job kill and then the job name. So that should be killed on our side. Okay, it's done. So we will start it again, see if we get better luck after we change the time zone. Failed, I still have problems, so we'll see what's going on here. This is kind of a generic error, so it's something you just have to work through. One thing I forgot to do after editing the time zone was we have to put that file to the Hadoop file system. Right now it's just in a local directory. So to do that, we need to sudo hfs hadoop fs -put -force user job properties to user hdfs Oozie workflows. Okay, so we're going to kill the running job out there again. Greetings again. Sorry for that little break, but I figured out what the issue was. First things first, run this command when you get a chance. Sudo -u oozie /user lib oozie bin ooziedb.sh create -run. This will create, it's a script that will create the system tables for Oozie in the hot database, or I should say the MySQL database. Second thing is there was an error in my Oozie site XML. The /property ending tag was missing, so be sure that ends the MapReduce Uber jar enable property. The main issue though was that I was missing the lib folder, so we have a lib folder underneath home Oozie lib Oozie workflows. That belongs underneath the corresponding HDFS location, user HDFS Oozie workflows. So run this command to put it to that location. Then you can start the Oozie workflow. So kill the old one, and then you can start up the new one. And when you do that, you'll see that the partitions are being added. So I can see that the coordinator job is running. The workflow jobs are succeeded. So one final test. I will sudo to Hive. We will see the partitions that were added. So it should be everything except for 1 a.m. because there's a lag. So it'll be 10, 11, and 12. Yep. There we go. So you can see there's quite a bit of a lag built into the existing Cloudera tutorial if you were to take the configuration of everything as is. So to set the stage for the next part of the series, we're going to remove that constraint. We're going to make this real time, so we don't have to wait. And we'll show that how it's done. So you'll basically see here that I'm going to show the fact that there's a few hours. Actually, there's that. So those are the partitions, but we actually have the we do have data streaming that within 1 a.m. of course, because the Flume's going to stream the data. It's just Oozie isn't going to add it, because if it were to add a partition here, I'll actually show that as part of the next part of the series. Before we add the custom code to filter out those temp files that Flume creates, you'll see that there's an exception, and that's kind of why there's a workaround. That wait event is built in, the ready indicator that's part of the existing Cloudera tutorial. But we will address that in the next session. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me or follow me on Twitter at DataDanSandler, or follow me on my blog, www.dataDanSandler.com. Till then, take care, and I'll see you later.